and now they're confident to lock their bot lane and say, you know, our bot lane is good enough. Go Kai'Sa Nami into your Varus +1, and we will still win.
You see, but the issue here with Flash Wolves composition is they're showing their hands so early on. This is very reminiscent to a Yasuo composition. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to flex and bait the idea from Divine Esports and trying to get them to play against that and then try and switch out. And if they don't respect it, then they will go for the Yasuo. The issue is, I think that the Yasuo composition is one of their lower tier prio kind of picks. Divine Esports, I think they are doing a very good job responding to it. Just have a lot of pickoff and have a lot of strong assassins, duelists in the side lanes where they cannot enable Yasuo.
I like this Kha'Zix pick. I like this Kha'Zix.
The Kha'Zix is a pretty good pick here. It's good to look for isolations in the side lane, right? And that's what Gavinism talked about. If Yasuo ever goes to the side lane, he will have a problem going up against Kha'Zix and Galio. The good thing is, though, he never has to. Their team comp is very capable of forcing 5/5s. You get the Vi ultimate coming in, you get the Gragas cast into Yasuo ultimate setup. That's a great combo here for Flash Wolves. But Divine have a very good answer in the form of the Rakan and Galio counter engage.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my eyes on that Gragas. Actually, I do know that this explosive cast, you know, we've seen it just suddenly put a stopper to every single plan that against opposing teams and everything. I think that could be either the downfall of Flash Wolves or the playmaker for your Flash Wolves, because if they're able to utilize that well, I think they could throw throw the cast into the plans of Divine Esports and just shatter it completely. Gamernism, what are your last thoughts on the draft so far?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, Gragas is such a hit or miss for a lot of teams, right? But I think that for at least Flash Wolves, they've played so much Gragas, I think it should be a hit, not a miss.
It should definitely hit. And if they plan to be, experts at the explosive cast, then I think we're in for quite a show. I do believe we are just about to get into Game 2. Our Divine Esports finally gonna get that win, especially since they came oh so close that time to Flash Wolves. Or will Flash Wolves unleash the demon that is a demon? We are gonna find out as we step into Game 2. And Omo, before we step into that, final thoughts, are you still going with Divine Esports, or do you think your picks have to switch over to Flash Wolves?
I think Divine is still going to take it, but I have a lot more confidence and faith in Flash Wolves' ability to make it a close game now with Demon on the roster.
Yeah, panel kind of like thinking twice about those predictions now, but here we go. Game 2, Flash Wolves versus Divine Esports. Casters, take it away.
Thank you much to our beautiful analyst desk. Yes, indeed, Flash Wolves leading this best of 2 series to kickstart Group B with that dub. And look, TJ, look at this one. They've got themselves the Gragas. They've got themselves the Yasuo. I am keen for this game.
Group of death. It keeps on going, Skippy. Group B is well and truly rolling, and Flash Wolves have just demonstrated that they're in with a word against one of the best teams in Southeast Asia, against Divine out of this incredibly strong Vietnam region. I am stoked as we get into game number 2, and that's how you know I'm Californian.
Absolutely, we got those regional accents kicking in. Opposites collide, a big ocean dividing us too, as I'm down under, living in a different time zone, but we're still getting ourselves nice and excited for this game here. Hey, worth noting also, Divine Esports on their side, they got some comfort picks too. Len is back in that Kha'Zix. Love to see it. And Coyote, kind of like we thought we'd see in game 1, he's going to be that huge mid-game influence, or the mid-lane influence more than anything, as the Galio.
And I want to keep an eye... Oh my lord, Coyote dropped very low. I want to keep an eye on Len as he does clear out through that first jungle path, because what he is doing very much determined the pace of game number 1. Len was not able to gank lanes early, and we saw Divine just crumble in a way they don't usually during the early game. Now here in game 2, he's already showing up in lane.
2v2 breaks out here in mid lane. Len has to reveal himself. Didn't want to, but had to in the end, because it looks like the Flash Wolves really want to force this wave in, make it crash, force to reset, play for the double crab, and get all the vision in the world. But it will be that gentleman's handshake. They are just going to go for the cross map plays. Len picks up this one. Hope 1 burns a summoner heal, and it's just going to get zoned away from such a big wave under this turret.
Yeah, so what's happening right now with Flash Wolves killing this wave before it hits the turret is that the turret itself is killing all of the blue side minions. So Hope 1 has no access to them. He's losing a whole bunch of gold, a whole bunch of XP.
Look at this though from Flash Wolves in such a point of power. We're rotating from zoning away the bot lane to then saying that Galio, you can't respond. Now what can Divine do here? Okay, Bruce has gone for the trade to try and prevent the blue buff from being stolen away. Is the bleed enough? It is. The bleed is just so insane, and Len is still surviving. The void spikes go out, and the heal comes across. And what looks so good for Flash Wolves, Divine Esports punish with conviction.
Welcome to the early game. Len shows up aggressively, starts pressing across the map, building opportunities as Flash Wolves have to respond to him. And that's always where Divine's early game power comes from. It's not so much that Len is finding the kills, it's that because Len is invading, Flash Wolves have to choose. Either we let him steal away our entire jungle, or we go into a very awkward position without proper warding to stop him from doing that.
Oh, that's beautiful there from the duo of Divine Esports. Oh, no, hang on a minute. Does this mean that Tonic's going to fall on down? He is! He's so got him! Oh, the turret shots. Far too many turret shots. Yes, Sarah. So clean with the explosive cask.
And yes, Sarah's back as well. The Flash Wolves had a really hard play on the stage where they did not look like the team we expected. And Yasara was a huge part of that. He had so much gold dumped into his lane. They were trying to play to his top side. And unless he was on Renekton, he just didn't have good games. Here, he's playing Gragas, one of the only champions he looked decent on during the play on the stage. And he's able to, on the weak side, without resources being thrown that way by the Flash Wolves, he's able to 1v2 and bring this game back within arm's reach during this early game.
You know what excites me the most, TJ, is his itemization. It's not going to be the tank. Greg is in that same regard. It's not going to be that Sunfire cape. It ain't going to be the full mail. No, the Rod of Ages. I'm taking that skill check. I'm running the AP. It's going to be explosive. I mean, it's in the name. Explosive cask. He's going to run it back time and time again.
And you can keep an eye on what Len's up to after that early game, because we do have the Drake up right now, and Divine are not positioning to fight him. They don't have the resources to. Len taking a little bit longer to path down towards there. The rest of Divine just now heading that way. They want this first Drake. It's an Infernal. Both teams have to fight over it, but they were not in position to set up vision, which means this skirmish around the Rift Scuttler, this skirmish to get wards into this river, matters so much.
And just look how early, TJ, they've actually done the lane swap for Flash Wolves. They planted their bot lane straight away in mid and said, we're guaranteeing tempo, we're guaranteeing split push is available nice and early. Now you got Yasuo in a 1v1 up against Hopon's Varus, and you're saying, that's volatile. That could certainly be a solo kill found in a moment of mere minutes. But Divine Esports are still going to bully them away and get the first turret, or the first Drake of the game.
So what they were setting up for is the core conceit of this composition. This is a Bruce carry comp, which is what Flash Wolves love to run. And the game plan is...
The game plan is, we see a teamfight break out. Apparently, the Tidal Wave knocks off 3 members. The bubble afterwards. It's not enough. Ooh. It's not enough. You can't stop the pain when Tarnix drops the axe and smacks you down with the guillotine. Now, can Cookie do anything about this? No. Assault on battery. It wouldn't achieve anything. And we just walk away.
All right. Well, to finish my sentence, the game plan is you throw out a Tidal Wave or an Explosive Cask, you get a ton of knockups, and then Bruce slots them all down with the Yasuo ult. Because the Yasuo ult can trigger on anyone getting knocked up, and Tidal Wave and Explosive Cask both count as knockups. So it's a really scary combination in 5-on-5 teamfights, but it's vulnerable to exactly what Divine are doing so far, exactly what they were doing there in the mid lane, which is picking apart this composition and grabbing individual parts of it whilst they're not together, whilst they're not alongside Bruce. You can see Bruce was down on the bottom side of the map, all alone. They didn't cluster and challenge Bruce under turret, because if you do that, the rest of Flash Wolves can collapse on you, and then you're fighting the 5-on-5 where that combo's online. No, instead you dive the mid lane. You shut down Demon early, preventing his late game scaling, and most importantly, avoiding the potential of that combo.
It's worth noting, obviously, as you touch on Demon and his itemization, that he has gone for the critical strike compared to Hope One here on the lethality with that tier. But that's not important right now, because the fight's about to break out. Cookie on the widest flank, so wide that he falls on down. The angle not cute enough, and he's just going to die in that situation. The exhaust onto Bruce, the pounce upon it from Len, and a double kill was found here by the Kha'Zix. One by one, they crumble. The isolation is there. And now Len is hiding in the shadows, just running past this bush, back to the safety of his team, and they'll be content with a 2-for-1.
Yeah, very good trade for Divine. They kind of catch Cookie and Bruce with their trousers around their ankles, as they both seem to be entirely convinced it was only going to be Coyote in lane. You can see Bruce taking that, like you talked about, like really weird, wide flank angle. He's just walking through bushes, seeing what's going to happen. And as he face checks the bush, surprise, surprise, Divine know this gank is coming. They just saw Bruce blow his ultimate in a one-on-one. There's no way you do that if you're not sure you can find the kill afterwards. So Divine rotate down to match that, and it feels like Flash Wolves kind of disrespect them. They don't anticipate that kind of map awareness from an opponent, and Divine call them on it. They have the resources in place to defend their mid laner down there in the bottom lane, and because Bruce has already spent his ultimate, the tidal wave doesn't get any follow-up, and they just slowly lose the trade.
Certainly isn't ideal, but we do know what their win condition is, and they can run it back time and time again until it reaches the point of power where everybody is far too durable for those resets to even be considered.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose we're looking at Divine Esports here, saying we've got ourselves a very small gold lead, we've got tempo, but let's run it back with this play, because, I mean, this is why I'm getting critical. The fact that the Viking just run like that and say, here I am, come get me, oh wait, I'm dead.
Well, I mean, it's a great play if there's nobody down here, right? If there's nobody down in the bottom lane, it's a great play. But unfortunately, Divine are a real smart team. During the live up,
Oh, that's a nice double knock up there. Then the quickness afterwards. The Herald has been summoned, so Divine Esports are answering back with a trade that will net them a kill. So they're going to get Bruce. Their mid-tier one survives, but it has been crippled.
yeah, this is a really good play actually by Divine. They're looking for more. Tarnax roaming around the side here, but they catch Bruce out all alone in the bottom lane, and they just assassinate him.
Good flash away there from Eason. Was to be caught, but they've forced him away. Guaranteed another turret is found.
Yeah,
And Divine Esports have got two.
really well played by Divine. Again, isolating Bruce, not fighting him with the team. And the second Bruce is dead, it's really easy to fight the rest of the team. And this is going to have really dire consequences, because I don't know if Bruce has enough damage to fulfill the carry role he needs to anymore.
There goes the Spooky Ghost. Divine looking to try and mount their assault to contest.
There
What's
we
the
go.
second Dragon of the game. Flash will still looking for their first. The Guillotine is looking to try and come on out, waiting for those max stacks on the Bleeds to come on
Bruce
through, but
in
then
the
Tynex
pit.
peels away. 3 members locked in that bot tribush. Bruce on his own gets knocked up once the arrow comes out. The damage is there. Is the bleed enough? It's not. Bruce has survived, but he's zoned
He
away,
can't
so it's
fight,
essentially
though.
still a 4v5.
He has to back.
It's Ysera of all the health in the world, but what can Agragas do when he's got no follow-up? Well, he chucks it out anyway, but he's going to fall on down as Nami dies, and Cookie is gone. Assault and battery. He's assaulted himself because he can't do much. Down for 20 seconds. Divine are healthy, and they'll get the second Drake as well.
And disrespect after disrespect from Flash Wolves. Bruce trying to stay in that pit for such a long time, not using his flash around the outside. He shouldn't have even been in that pit in the first place. Then Flash Wolves stay in a fight they've clearly lost, rather than lick their wounds, retreat, and play defense, which is what they're going to have to do. And Divine just benefit from those mistakes time and time again, as they are a darn good team. And they're going to play aggressive into anyone that's handing them free wins like that.
Yeah, they're just thriving in the chaos and able to zone away so many members at the very get-go.
Bruce, what are you
forcing
doing?
Bruce into a position like this, and we
What
start
is
to
this?
sit back and wonder, what on earth was that? Divine Esports are capitalizing beautifully.
Yeah, Diviner's going through the motions. They're just executing the game plan, and Flash Wolves keep tossing money inside the collection jar. As I don't know what Bruce is doing there. He clearly sees there's at least 3 people attacking that top turret, and he does have the rotate up from Eason. He does have that tidal wave coming in, but he's not in a position to 1v3 even with the tidal wave backup.
Oh, nice chain of corruption there. Max stacks,
Shouldn't be
max
fighting
range.
this
He's never
either.
locked in place. Forced to flash away. Has he baited the rest of his team though to a false sense of security? He has. Unfortunately for them, Demon has died. He's paid the ultimate price. The rest of the team comes spawning on through. But every single time they're taking these trades, it's always a 4v5 as the aftermath.
Yeah, it's a 4v5. You're down in gold. You don't have your key carry, Bruce. The combo with Bruce is kind of the only way they would conceivably win a team fight now. And it is incredibly questionable that Flash Wolves force into Divine. Divine play that really well. They start the Baron, they attract Flash Wolves' attention, and then they play the choke point, rely on Coyote's AoE, and because you have such a good AoE taunt from that frontline Galio, you can position Hope One behind the Galio, behind the Rakan, and he just throws out arrows. He's got a free firing range. He can just dump damage in. And this slightly more defensive build from Coyote, the advantage of having such a good recon in Quay really adds up.
So much CC to juggle, to overlap, and put in combo, making it very difficult for Flash Wolves to execute the comp in the fashion they want to do. The Baron is there, it's been up for 2 minutes, and Flash Wolves are not even making a move for it. They have no vision, they don't want to go for that fight, they're down by 7k. And now the question is for Divine Esports, how much can they achieve with this? Because they've broken every single tier 1, Flash Wolves are yet to find their own turret, and you're looking to say, we're marching down a lane, we're grabbing ourselves an early inhib.
Yeah, I'm looking at how long it's taking Bruce to kill these minions. I was trying to gauge how many items he was on, and the answer is we do get the answer. It is 2 items. It's not enough. He can't match the defense that's available for key members over on Divine. Tarnax with the Dead Man's Plate in particular is just going to laugh at any amount of damage he throws out. This is really hard for Flash Wolves. I think this is going to be a tie game, a draw result, as they look very good in game 1 and then completely collapse in game number 2, not understanding their win conditions, disrespecting Divine's ability to rotate across the map, and Divine's ability to team fight.
Have you heard, TJ, of the 0-10 power spike Yasuo?
It's not happening, mate. He's too far behind. if they could extend this game to like 20 minutes, maybe. But Bruce is dead again because he's charging down a lane while his teammates are on the other side of the map. So
5 more to go. We'll count that as a win if you're a fan of Yasuo. You've seen it in your solo queue games. And he's running it down here today. Unfortunately for them, they've lost 1 inhib. They're going to lose the second. And now they've got a 3rd in their sights. Thriving in the chaos. 1 by 1, they falter, scurrying away to the hills like ants. It just does not matter. Len is in a point of power right now. He's just leapfrogging in. He's having fun. Bit of sombrero, chucking it out there, having a bit of a dance in the sun, and living his best life now as 12 kills to 3 and a 12k gold lead.
Yeah, this is my O10 Yasuo from my solo queue game. This is a really rough performance from Bruce, who's one of the best players, one of the best mid laners in this tournament. But he fell behind early, and the reason why there's O10 Yasuos is because he's such an aggressive character. Your only way to possibly get back into this game is to play very aggressive into your opponents. But that's just not happening. So Bruce, it keeps getting worse. And one of the reasons for it, I want to pay attention to this. Coyote's actually built a really cool build with Crystalline Reflector as his 2nd item, which gives him a little more defense against exactly the kind of burst engage that a Yasuo wants to do. Crystalline Reflector, of course, a Wild Rift specific item that gives you basically stacks of shield.
That's what he does, and shooting is what they need to try and mitigate all the burst that comes their way. Tarnix with a disgusting rip back on free. So much so that it's actually juking my own mouth as to what I can even represent and say about it. It was beautiful, and it is downright dirty because they found 2. They're going to find a 3rd. The Nexus is in their sight, but they want an ace, TJ. Why would they not? Reset after reset. If it ain't the Kha'Zix, it's then going to be the Darius soon to follow. We will get